In this video, I am going to discuss about the corrosion of ferrous metal. One of the most familiar types of corrosion is ferrous oxide in bracket rust, generally resulting from atmospheric oxidation of steel surfaces. Some metals oxides protect the underlying base metal, but rust is not a protective coating in any sense of the word. Its presence actually promotes additional attack by attracting moisture from the air and acting as a catalyst in causing additional corrosion to take place. As a result, all rust must be removed from steel surfaces. If complete control of the corrosive attack is to be realized. Rust first shows on bolt heads, hold down nuts, or other unprotected aircraft hardware. Its presence in these areas is generally not dangerous and has no immediate effect on the structural strength of any major components. However, it is indicative of a need for maintenance and of possible corrosive attacks in more critical areas. It is also a factor in the general appearance of the equipment. When paint failures occur or mechanical damage exposes highly stressed steel surfaces to the atmosphere, even the smallest amount of rusting is potentially dangerous in these areas and must be removed and controlled. Mechanical removal of iron rust. The most practical means of controlling the corrosion of steel is the complete removal of corrosion products by mechanical means and restoring corrosion preventive coatings, except on highly stressed steel surfaces. The use of abrasive papers and compounds, small power buffers and buffing compounds, hand wire brushing or steel wool are all acceptable cleanup procedures. However, it should be recognized that in any such use of abrasive, residual rust usually remains in the bottom of small pits and other crevices. It is practically impossible to remove all corrosion products by abrasive or polishing methods alone. As a result, once a part has rusted, it usually corrodes again more easily than it did the first time. Chemical surface treatment of steel. There are approved methods for converting active rust to phosphates and other protective coatings. Alcohol lubricizing and the use of other phosphoric acid proprietary chemicals are examples of such treatments. However, these processes require shop installed equipment and are impracticable for field use. Other commercial preparations are effective rust converters where tolerances are not critical and where thorough rinsing and neutralizing of residual acid is possible. These situations are generally not applicable to assembled aircraft. And the use of chemical inhibitors on installed steel parts is not only undesirable but very dangerous. The danger of entrapment of corrosive solutions and the resulting uncontrolled attack which could occur when such materials are used under field conditions outweigh any advantages to be gained from their use. Now, removal of corrosion from highly stressed steel parts. Any corrosion on the surface of a highly stressed steel parts is potentially dangerous, and the careful removal of corrosion products is required. Surface scratches or change in surface structure from overheating can also cause sudden failure of these parts. Corrosion products must be removed by careful processing using mild abrasive papers such as ROD or fine grit aluminum oxide or fine buffing compounds on cloth buffing wheels. It is essential that steel surfaces not be overheated during buffing. After careful removal of surface corrosion, protective paint finishes should be reapplied immediately. The treatment of ferrous metal. A mechanical removal of corrosion. Unlike that which forms on aluminum, the oxide film that forms on ferrous metals is porous and will attract moisture and continue to convert the metal into corrosion or rust. All traces of this rust must be removed to stop it. The most effective method for removing rust is by mechanical means. Abrasive paper and wire brushes, both hand and power driven, may be used, but the most effective way of getting all of the corrosion products from unplated steel parts is by abrasive blasting, which gets to the bottom of corrosion pits. Sand, aluminum oxide or glass beads may be used effectively. If a part has been plated either with cadmium or with chromium, care must be taken to protect the plating as it is usually impossible to restore it in the field. Highly stressed steel parts such as those found in landing gears and engines must be cleaned with extreme care. If corrosion is found on these parts, it should be removed immediately by removing the absolute minimum amount of material. A fine stone, fine abrasive paper, or even pumice may be used. Wire brushes should not be used as they cause minute scratches which produce stress concentrations and potentially weaken the part. If abrasive blasting is used, it must be done with caution, using only very fine grit abrasive or glass beads. Follow the manufacturer's instructions. After all the corrosion has been removed, the rough edges of the bits or damage must be faded as shown in this figure. The surface primed as soon as possible. A dry, clean surface is an ideal setting for corrosion, and if not protected immediately, will allow new damage to begin. Zinc chromate primer may be used to protect most freshly cleaned steel surfaces. Now B. Special treatment of stainless steel alloys. Do not use chemical cleaners or stainless steels. Stainless steels are of two general types: magnetic and non-magnetic. Magnetic steels are of the ferrite or martensite types are identified by numbers in 400 series. Corrosion often occurs on 400 series stainless steels. Non-magnetic steels are of the austenitic type and are identified by numbers in the 300 series. They are much more corrosion resistant than the 400 series steels, particularly in a marine environment. Now C. Surface treatment, in which number 1 is plating, and which A number is nickel or chrome plating. This electrolytically deposited coating of nickel or chromium forms an airtight coating over the surface and excludes air and moisture from the base metal. There are two types of chrome plating used in aircraft construction: decorative and hard chrome. Decorative chrome is used primarily for its appearance and surface protection, while hard chrome is used to form a wear-resistant surface on piston rods, cylinder walls, and other parts which are subject to abrasion. Parts to be plated with hard chrome are normally ground underside and plated back to the proper dimensions. Engine cylinder walls are often plated with a porous chrome whose surface has thousands of tiny cracks which hold the oil and thus aid in lubrication. B is cadmium plating. While chrome plating protects steel by excluding moisture from its surface, cadmium plating protects it in an entirely different way by sacrificial corrosion. In the electrochemical series shown, earlier, we see that cadmium is below steel. This means that if these two metals are involved in any electrolytic action, the anodic material, the cadmium will be corroded, while the cathode material, the steel will not be damaged. Almost all steel aircraft hardware is cadmium plated. This soft silvery grey metal is electroplated onto the steel to a minimum thickness of 0.005 inch. It provides an attractive finish as well as protection against corrosion. When the cadmium plating on a part is scratched through to the steel, galvanic action takes place and the cadmium corrodes. If the steel should corrode, action would continue until the part is ruined. The oxides which form are on the surface of the cadmium and are similar to those which forms on aluminum. They are dense, airtight and watertight. No further action can take place once the initial film has formed. This type of protection is known as sacrificial corrosion. Now see on this part, galvanizing. Treating steel parts such as firewalls with a coating of zinc is called galvanizing. The protection afforded by this process is similar to that provided by cadmium plating. It is sacrificial corrosion. When scratched through, zinc will corrode and form an airtight oxide film. Steel is galvanized by passing it through vats of molten zinc and then rolling it smooth through a series of rollers. Now D. Metal spraying. Aircraft engine cylinders are sometimes protected from corrosion by spraying molten aluminum on their surface. The steel cylinder barrel is sandblasted absolutely clean, then aluminum wire is fed into the acetylene flame and high pressure compressed air blows the molten aluminum onto the surface. Corrosion protection afforded by this treatment is sacrificial corrosion such as is provided by cadmium and zinc coating. Now after plating we will go for the second one is organic coatings. Since paints is an effective and widely used corrosion protection system, its film must not be allowed to break down and so the surface to be painted must be properly prepared. Dry abrasive blasting will remove all of the surface oxides and roughen the surface enough to provide a good bond for the paint. Parts which have been cadmium plated must normally have their surface etched with a 5% solution of chromic acid before the primer will adhere. After a clean dry surface has been prepared, a thin wet coat of zinc chromate primer should be sprayed on and allowed to dry. The final finish can usually be applied after about an hour. Treatment of components, we are going to discuss about the steels. The chemical treatment for steel can be divided into two main groups. Pickling is a process in which acids are used to remove rust and scale so that a chemically clean surface is produced, which requires immediate production to safeguard it from further corrosion. In contrast, phosphoric acid processes in addition to de-rusting coat steel surfaces with insoluble phosphate films which confirm a measure of corrosion protection and form a good base for paint. Note: phosphating process should only be used on aircraft parts if cadmium plating is impracticable. In which A. Pickling solution. Information on the pickling of steels is given in DEF STAN 03-2, which specifies solution of 10% of hydrochloric acid in water or hydrogen absorption heat treated steels of more than 1004 mn per meter square. On bracket 65 ton F per inch square ultimate tensile strength (UTS) should only be pickled by the electrolytic method given in paragraph B below. The danger of blistering and embrittlement of other steels due to hydrogen entering the metal can be reduced by adding inhibitors (such as quinolone ethiodide) to the acid, but if inhibitors or wetting agents are used, the parts should have a final dip for not more than 2 minutes in an acid solution, free of such substances. After immersing parts in dilute acid solution, they should be rinsed in clean water and dried. Limited brittleness can be reduced by heat treating the steel at 150 to 200 degrees centigrade. Now B. Electrolytic pickling. The advantages of this method are twofold. Chemical cleaning is assisted by the evolution of oxygen on the surface of the metal, and as hydrogen is only produced on the cathode, no embrittlement occurs. An electrical bath is required containing a solution of 30% by volume of concentrated sulfuric acid in water to each liter of which can be added 18 gram of potassium dichromate or 3 ounce per gallon. With the part as the anode, the current density of 1000 amps per meter square or 100 amps per feet square should be applied for approximately 5 minutes, after which the parts should be rinsed in clean water and thoroughly dried. Now in C. Phosphating process. Certain commercial phosphorus and treatments such as waterization, generalizing and bonderizing are applied for aircraft's use by the provision of DTD 900. The processes should be considered as foundation treatments for painting and not as reliable anti-corrosive measures in themselves. To obtain satisfactory phosphate films, they should be applied in accordance with the instruction issued by their manufacturers. Note: some laboratories state that electrolytic pickling of steels does produce embrittlement in high tensile steels, and that heat treatment is necessary afterwards for steels above 1004 Mn per meter square, 65 ton per inch square (UTS). If plating is to be carried out, the heat treatment should follow that process as soon as possible, and if any event, within 2 hours. Chemical and electrochemical treatments. Treatments in this category are those which strengthen the natural oxide film on the base material or which convert the metal surface chemically to a protective coatings of phosphate, chromate, etc. The most satisfactory results are usually obtained by immersion treatment, but where these are impracticable, brush-on applications can be used. In the following paragraphs, the standard immersion treatments for the principal aircraft constructional materials are given, together with brush-on substitutes which can be used for repair or in emergencies. Now in this one is steel. The majority of chemical treatment for steel involve the formation of phosphate films, and to a certain degree are covered in last leaflet we have read. Proprietary immersion and brush-on applications, if approved under the provision of the latest issue of DTD 900, can be used to inhibit corrosion and to form a base for painting steel parts which cannot be protected by metallic coatings. Certain processes can be followed by immersion in mineral to render them suitable for moving parts. The phosphate coating absorbs the oil and provides a wear-resisting surface. Chemical treatments do not provide adequate protection for steel if used alone. Further corrosion proofing, example painting is usually specified. Metallic coatings. The protection of one metal by the application of a surface coating of another of greater corrosion resistance is common practice. Thus, aluminum alloy sheet used in aircraft construction is usually clad on both faces with thin layers of pure aluminum rolled on during manufacture. Steel is protected by a greater variety of methods, the more important of which are summarized below or read below, or you will read. Cadmium plating. The electrode deposition of cadmium, which is given in the leaflet BL/7-2, provide the most satisfactory form of protection for AGS and other parts of non-stainless steel. It is the standard corrosive treatment for streamline wires, tie rods and similar parts which are not usually painted, while steel boards and other parts are in close contact with light alloys. Cadmium plating greatly reduces the danger of corrosion resulting from the proximity of dissimilar metal. It has been found that this is so even when the cadmium coat is scored or partially rubbed off. Cadmium plating can be applied to close dimensions limits and is suitable for the protection of closely fitting attachment bolts. The relevant British standard for cadmium plated bolts with close tolerance shanks are A59 and A111, A111, and for shear bolts 60 for A60 and A112. Notes 1. It should not be assumed that stainless steel in contact with aluminum alloys are unlikely to promote intergranular corrosion or corrosion fatigue. For this reason, it is advisable that they too should be cadmium plated, but a special technique is essential to ensure good adhesion of the cadmium. A plating technique that is suitable for some specification of stainless steel involves degreasing anodic pickling to dilute sulfuric acid (leaflet BL/4-2), the deposition of a preliminary coating of nickel, and finally cadmium plating by the usual method. Now, number 2. Further protection by painting is not usually necessary on interior cadmium plated parts, but it is specified the cadmium coating should first be passivated by the process given in specification DEF 130, or an H primer should be used. Now, number 2 is nickel and chromium plating. These two metals are electrically deposited in a similar manner to what cadmium nickel plating is cathodic to steel, but will give good corrosion resistance if the coating is uniform and free from discontinuities. It is used for some turbine parts which are subjected to fairly high temperatures and for the protection of many springs. Chromium is sometimes applied directly to the steel parts of the aircraft as an anti-corrosive treatment, and sometimes is deposited on top of nickel plating to improve appearance. Chromium plating is also used to resist wear in some engine cylinders, landing gear, shock struts, jack rods, etc. Metallizing. Aluminium, zinc, cadmium and certain other metals can be sprayed directly onto steel from special pistols. The metal is fed into the pistol as a wire or a powder and is melted by an oxyacetylene flame. Compressed air then blows it in the form of tiny molten globules onto the surface to be coated, where it solidifies. Spray coats of aluminum are applied to engine bearers, steel tube assemblies, combustion chamber, etc. Some of these items are afterwards painted, but this is not always necessary. Flame plating. This process, similar to some metallizing, is carried out on many aircraft parts, which are subject to wear by fretting, particularly engine components such as compressor and impeller blades, combustion chamber parts, and seals. It is sometimes applied to hydraulic pumps and motors. Briefly, the process consists of a charge of powdered tungsten carbide, chromium carbide, or similar hard material suspended in an oxygen/acetylene mixture in the breech of a special gun. The mixture is detonated and the particles become plastic. They are then blasted on the areas being coated. This is repeated until the entire surface is coated to the required depth. Stripping of worn coatings can be carried out and new coatings applied, and thus the life of expensive components is considerably extended. Now next is powder processes. Metal coatings of zinc and aluminum can be produced by packing steel parts after sandblasting in suitable mixtures containing the appropriate metal and heating them in sealed containers to specified temperatures. The applications of aluminum by the method is known as calorizing, ceradizing, covered by BS 4921, creates a coat of zinc iron alloy on steel parts. Now, replating local areas. Local repairs is to damage metallic plating, and the deposition of metal in places where accessibility is limited can be accomplished by certain plating processes without immersion in plating bath. If the part to be plated should be made by the cathode by connecting it to a DC power unit. The electrolyte is brushed over the metal surface by the absorbent pad attached to the end of a graphite anode. The anode, which is called a tampon, is air or water cooled according to size. Plating solution and current densities should be cooled according to size. Plating solutions and current densities should be selected according to the manufacturer's recommendations. Cadmium, copper, zinc, tin, etc. can be deposited very rapidly by this method. Now we have discussed earlier, but here from the next text, organic coatings. Paint, varnishes and enamels protect metal by inhibition, by mechanical exclusion of corrosion influence, or by a combination of both of these. To provide a good key for the point, general guidance on pre-treatment is given in leaflet BL4-2. Mechanical roughness, chemical etching, chemical film formation, or preliminary deposition of metal coating should be in accordance with approved practice for the material concerned. Reference would always be made to the relevant aircraft manufacturers for details of the organic coating scheme to be applied to a particular aircraft. Now, in this one, number one is priming coats. Most aircraft painting schemes commence with the application of a primer containing an inhibiting chemical such as zinc chromate. The majority of primers are the are air drying, but when a stove enamel finish is specified, the priming coat is also stoved in bracket BS X31. Primers can be directly applied by brush or sprays to aircraft parts in situ, but dipping is sometimes preferred by detachable items. Primers to suit the wide range of finishing schemes covered by the Ministry of Defense process specifications are supplied as proprietary products. Care should be taken to ensure that the specifications selected is appropriate to the particular job. When painting certain aluminum alloy structures, it is sometimes advantageous to use etching primers which obviate the need for preliminary etching by deoxidine and similar chemicals. General guidance on finishing schemes is given in paragraph further. Cellulose finishes. Cellulose finishes are specified for many individual components of civil aircraft as well as for the exterior finishing of metal skinned aircraft, as they give finish which have good adhesion and resistance to weathering. Although the best results are obtained by spraying on top of a suitable primer, one coat application direct to pre-treated aluminum or aluminum clad alloys have sometimes been used. Now, number 3, synthetic finishes. A number of external finishes schemes for the metal surface of aircraft are based on the use of pigmented oil varnishes for pigmented synthetic resin finishes. The relevant British standard BS X28 and the Ministry of Defence specification is DEF 1044. The majority of finishes schemes are two-coat treatments. The treated metal surface is given a brush or spray coat of the primer applicable to the scheme, and after the primer has dried, the finishing coat is applied by spray. Synthetic finishes should only be thinned with approved thinners. DTD 96 thinners for cellulose paints and daubs are generally unsuitable. As a general rule, priming coats require a longer drying period for synthetic finishes than for cellulose finishes. Now 4 on this, lanolin resin finishes. Lanolin resin preparation to specification DTD 279 and 633 are brush, spray or drip treatments which remain soft for considerable periods and are only occasionally applied to parts of aircraft in service. They have a limited application for the protection of marine aircraft. DTD 420 covers a range of matte pigmented lanolin resin finishes suitable for use on metal surfaces exposed to seawater. Generally, two-cone finishes applied by brush or spray are recommended. And these 5 stoving finishes. Stoving enamels generally have a much higher degree of resistance to abrasion than air drying finishes and are therefore used for some power plant components and certain airframe parts which are not adversely affected by stoving temperatures. For maximum durability, two-coat schemes are recommended. High temperature stoving finishes such as those covered by DTD 56 generally consist of 2 coats of enamel, each of which is baked. DTD 56 generally consists of 2 coats of enamel, each of which is baked separately. Low temperature finishes, whether proprietary for or to BS X31, usually consist of a preliminary priming coat which is baked first, followed by application of the enamel and further stoving. Note, there are some kinds of enamel. Example, the synthetic glossy play glossy black enamel specified in DEF 1044, which can be either air dried or stoved. The principal advantage of stoving is that it shortens the drying time. Now, sixth, epoxide finishes. Interior and exterior protective finishing schemes of the cold curing epoxide type are low frequently used. There are three schemes. Scheme 1 consists of H primer and finish. Scheme 2 consists of H primer filler and finish, or epoxy primer filler and finish. Scheme 3 consists of H primer, epoxy primer and finish. Details of the schemes are covered in specification DTD 5555, which the requirements for the materials are detailed in specifications DTD 5567. Now in 4, special fuel tank treatments. Special sealing and anti-corrosion treatments are often given to fuel tanks and integral fuel tank structures. In certain instances where there are undrainable areas, these are filled with a wide filler to prevent the formation of stagnant water pockets in which microbiological growths can be formed. Basic structural components are chemically treated, example allochrome 1200, etc. And in assembly, all joints are interlaid with a sealant such as thiocol, thiocol PR1422. After assembly, all joints are brush treated with rubber sealant compounds such as Buna-N in bracket EC776 and PR100 5L, and some of tanks are then given a final slushing treatment with Buna-N in the tank to impart a uniform protective film on all inner surfaces. The tank in bracket or structural assembly is slowly rotated in a special rig, and this ensures that the protective film is free from pinholes. Reference should always be made to the relevant aircraft manufacturers for the appropriate treatment for any particular aircraft.